I think the first place that really made an impression with me was when I was a child, going from Lancashire over into the Forest of Bowland, as we call it, and going over the moorland and just thinking this was a fantastic landscape and loving that when I was just really, really young. So I've always sought out places like that. So I always go out. I take lots of photographs, but also do lots of painting, drawing and sketching. With stone lithography, you actually have to grind the stone to start off with. So I'll do that for about an hour, and it's quite a hypnotic process. You can really kind of calm down and just think about what it is you're going to be drawing later on and get into that sort of place. I'll then draw up my image, which has to be back to front because the image is reversed when you print it. Each layer, I should say, is done separately. When you're making a print, you've already broken down the image into its different colour layers, not in a photographic way, but just manually, as it were, in your head. I discovered that, well, a lot of people find lithography quite hard, but I just loved the whole process of it, and it seemed to fit in with the way my art worked, which is working in layers really, breaking down the image into its component parts and separate layers and then building it up again. There's quite a lot of magic about lithography, and when you take the print off the press you get a surprise, but you know, it's something you can work with and adapt to and respond to. I do a lot of work in remote environments. What people noticed were that there was always a human marker, some kind of human presence in the landscape. And I think that started out with a kind of a formal way of making the composition, because obviously with very bleak landscapes there's no real vertical accent. So I started putting in things like telegraph poles and things which made that vertical accent. I didn't analyse it a lot to start off with, why I always put in some kind of human presence. I think, and some of them are quite quirky. So there's one in Norway which is a poster for a circus against the Arctic Sea. There's absolutely nothing, there's just the horizon, and then just this telegraph pole with a circus poster which just seems so out of place. And then in the Namib Desert I did one which was, they just had a sign for a kilometre sign, 23, just said 23, in the middle of nowhere. You don't know why these things are there or how they've got there. I did a residency in Donegal. The exhibition was about places at the end of the road, and did lots of work about lighthouses and signal stations and so on. Quite a lot of going to the end of piers where you get all the kind of rubbish and things that people have left around, which really interests me. I think I got into looking at the meaning of what wilderness was in Scotland, where of course it's not wilderness, it's a sort of feral landscape. The landscape has been formed by humans, or in Scotland by sheep. In my last exhibition I kind of concentrated on shelter in these bleak landscapes, from castles and cottages, but also bus stops. And you know, those telephone boxes that you find in the middle of nowhere. And I think I kind of realised that in a way what I was talking about was the need that we all have to kind of be alone from time to time and withdraw to remote places where there's nobody around. But the fact that in my prints there's always that human marker is, I think there's this thing within us that we still need that human communion and we want to come back.